TRC Music.
Nash is mad now.
Thank y'all for coming our way here again. So we got a great show. We're back.
Yeah. What's poppin', y'all? What's happening? You back in the lab with your man, Marq Nash. He is I am he. Another great episode of Breaking the Beats. Oh my God. Man, I got a crazy episode for you guys today. It's a pleasure and an honor to have this gentleman on the show. Man, what can I say about this guy that you might not know? I'm gonna let him say it for himself, but let me introduce this gentleman to you. This man is an actor, a producer, a military veteran. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a leader in his community. He broke the generational curse in his family. This man has done it all. If you've seen it in a ring, he probably was there. If you ate it, he probably picked it. From very humble beginnings, this man has done damn near everything you can think of in combat sports. But what you might not know is some people call him the cut god. Some call him Mr. One More Round. Today, we're going to call him Mr. Jacob Stitch Duran. Welcome to the show, sir.
My man, thank you. What an introduction. Can you do me a favor, though, first and foremost, is send me that intro, man. I got to use that somewhere because I've had a lot of intros, but that was pretty badass, man. That kind of stays right on top. I think that's the best intro I've ever heard and very inspirational, man. So thank you very much. And, you know, I didn't know you had done your homework as deep as you did, just bringing up those issues. You know, one more round, and if you ate it, I picked it, and being a veteran, and you know, all the above. And you're right, worked a lot of great fights, man. So thanks for having me on board.
Thank you, Mr. Duran. So I'm starting off pretty good right now, then, huh?
You know, it's funny. Yeah, you just said Mr. Duran, right? Years ago, Robert Watts is a good friend of mine. He played football, and he said, "Yeah." We said, "You know, you made it to the top when they call you Mr. Duran, Mr. Duran." And here you are, calling me Mr. Duran.
So, would you prefer I call you Stitch, Mr. Duran?
Yeah, Stitch, man.
Stitch,
you know,
okay.
I'm just a normal guy, man, that's been blessed to do the things that I'm doing. But, you know, we were in Atlanta together, and, you know my personality, and, you know, that's me. You know, people call me Stitch, and you talking about the fights that I worked last night. I worked with Jason Quigley, and after the fight, he said, "No, when I'm wrapping his hands, he goes, what's your real name?" And I said, "Real name."
Hey, where do we start? Can we start from your humble beginnings? Because a lot of people don't know this. You grew up very poor, to be frankly, if not being disrespectful. You guys picked cotton, you picked fruit. Talk to people about your early beginnings, being born to immigrant parents in California.
Yeah, poor. I mean, poor economically. We didn't have what a lot of people had economically. But in health, because I was a farm worker, so we had all the fresh fruits and vegetables and all that, and we had the family ties. So in that aspect, there's a picture when my mom passed away that I have that I use as a motivation that she had tucked in her drawer, where I'm down on my knees in wintertime. I'm in the grape fields, me and my mom and my little brother. He's 12 years old, Ernie. I was 15, and there's a bus behind us. So that's the photo that she had. And I'm on my knees, and I'm wiring 200 sticks about this long of grape. We cut the grapes, we prune them, and we make them in stakes, and we put them in stakes. And I'm tying up the bundle, and that's how we get paid. My mom's tying up a bundle, and we're both on our knees looking down, and my brother's like this with his hands up. And then there's a bus behind us. So that's a very inspirational picture for me because, like I said, economically, yeah, we weren't, on top of the list by any means, but for health and for family, and we didn't know sacrifice. I mean, look at my little brother, that right there with his arms like this, just kind of, and a smile, kind of said our lifestyle. So, but I'm glad I lived it.
Absolutely. A lot of people don't know this. Before the fight game, you had dreams of playing another sport. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, baseball. I growing up as a farm worker in the San Joaquin Valley, little town Planada, right from Little League, I played every year. And as I got older, in the 13, 14, 15 years old, in the summertime, all the farm workers would come from Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Mexico, just pick the crops, right? So we'd have Sunday pickup games. And, I played 4 years varsity baseball. And so I went through the whole motions, and I walked down to Merced College. That was the town that was closest to us. I grew up in a town like 1,500 people. And I didn't have a car, so I would ride to school with friends. And after school, they would go back home, and I'd stay and I'd practice, and I'd have to kind of hitchhike, go back. And, I was naive. I didn't know about grants and scholarships. So I went to the recruiter and joined the military, the Air Force. And 1972, I joined the Air Force, but I just kind of walked off and left that dream behind. And it was funny because years later, my locker mate, Rick Williams, ended up pitching for the Houston Astros. And I went to one of the Giant games against the Astros and went to the dugout. And he said, "Hey, man, where'd you go?" And I told him, "Well, I joined the military." But that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Absolutely. I'm a vet myself. I was in the Army. I was a combat medic.
Yeah, my man.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you about that adrenaline 1 to 1,000 when I first met you.
Yeah, bless you, man. Yeah, so you know.
And I was asking that. This is random, but you're good with these kind of things.
Barbershop talk, bro. Let's talk.
Right. Yo, do you remember it was a fight with Ricky Hatton when he fought Floyd Mayweather? And I believe it was Harold Letterman who he just started a whole sidebar conversation about the cut, and UK cutmen don't use the same things as American cutmen, like adrenaline of 1 to 1,000 compared to I don't know if they use it or we use it here. But basically he said, well, why wouldn't he just equip himself with that, is what Jim Blimpley asked Mr. Letterman. And he said, well, you have to be trained with it. You got to mix it. If it's expired, it doesn't work. I think people don't even know the small intricacies of being a cutman. They think, hey, get some Inswell, get some ice, some Vaseline, and you get guys messed up out there with guys who don't know the trade. Do you want to talk about the difference between cutmen and other countries use versus what we use here, and also these fake cutmen out here getting guys messed up?
Yeah, no, it's good questions, and let's get deep into it. And but yeah, I just got a message this morning from Cutman in Hamburg, Germany, and he asked me, what the rules and regulations were for the adrenaline chloride 1/1000. For your fans that don't know, the adrenaline is what the swab. We'll dip it into the adrenaline, and that's what we'll put onto the cut. So in the mechanic version of it, it's a vessel constrictor, so it'll close up the vessels. And the only way you can get that is by prescription. That's the hard thing about it. But he asked me, the guy from Germany, what were the regulations of using epi in the United States, because in Germany, I think the doctors are the ones that could use it. So I told him, I said, it's pretty much open. I know the American Medical Association has complained that, how can guys like me that aren't medically qualified to get a prescription, because this comes by prescription. They say, you're the doctor, I get a prescription from you. I go to get my adrenaline, and it's designed for me, but then I use it on somebody else not being qualified. That's their big concern. And that was a complaint. I don't think it was a concern, but throughout the world, for the most part, epi is the primary one. Here we use Quick Aid, which is 100% natural. It's made out of a seaweed base, and it's like in a 2x2 cause, and you put it on the cut, and it dehydrates the blood. The adrenaline, the other two that are used here are Avatine, which is also a coagulant. It's like my wife said it best, it's like cotton candy, but you put on the cut. And the thing with that is coagulants is once you punch, it takes that clot or that Avatine with it, and it takes the clot. And the same thing with thrombin, it's a coagulant. But adrenaline chloride, that for the most part works. And a lot of times and you're talking about the fake cutmen. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there that, let me add this, and I say it all the time, is you break it down, and you're talking, and we're going to break it down, is you look at all these major A-level sports, baseball, football, basketball, all these major sports. Combat sports are the only sports where we, as professional trainers, as professional cutmen, do not have to be certified to be called professional cutmen or professional trainers. All you need is to get a license in every state, put a towel over your shoulder, and you're a trainer, you're a cutman. So you never realize that, but it's true. You know,
100%.
it's true. And, you know, I see so many guys that do the wrong things. And as I was learning, when I lived in the Bay Area, when I got out of the military, I had a school of kickboxing in Fairfield, California. And I was also doing boxing. I lived in Oakland and Fairfield, but I went to a fight, Bone Crusher Smith against Marvis Frazier, never forget. And at that time, I had my school of kickboxing, and I was a trainer and everything that went with it, but I was learning to be a cutman. So I went to the fights, and the guy did a good job on working on a cut. And after the fight, I went and asked him. I said, "Hey, you know, I'm trying to learn to be a cutman. Can you tell me what you did?" He says, "Fuck you. I'm taking this to my grave, and you got to learn like me." And he walked away. That was that mentality of the mentality in boxing at that time, right? Everybody thought it was a secret.
How old were you at that time, Stitch? If you think.
Well, I mean, I'm 69. I've been here 26 years, probably 30 years ago. Probably 30.
Wow. You were crushed when he told you that.
Well, yeah, I was disappointed because, you know, I'm a martial artist by trade, you know, and our job is to teach. And I didn't know the mentality of boxing. Then it's before MMA, before any other sport, it was boxing only. And that was the mentality of these boxing guys that they were going to take it to their grave. You know, wrapping hands, I learned on my own, just watching techniques of other guys sneaking, you know, in the dressing room, and they wouldn't teach you. And but going back to this guy, I've said this story in many interviews, but I've never thrown his name out, right? But I went back to Oakland with Andre Ward, and he forgot about it. But now that he saw my status has gone up a little bit, him and his son wanted to take a picture with me, right? So I put my hands around him, and I said, "Yeah, let's take a picture." And I thought to myself, I won this battle because he just reinforced that I didn't want to be like this guy. And you know, so yeah, but there's a lot of fake people out there, and if you notice, in MMA, I set a formula that works. I wear gloves. I wear the wrist wrap where the swabs are here instead of your mouth or in your ears, and you know, I put the Vaseline here, and I'll work on the fighters like an artist, and I'll get a small cloth, they wet and clean them up. And so a lot of the guys in MMA have followed that technique because it works. And you'll see a lot of the young generation guys in boxing starting to do that. But you see the old guys that don't have gloves, they put the shit in their mouth. Those are the old school cutmen. And, you know, it still happens in boxing. Not so much in MMA, you won't see that. In boxing,
wow.
But he got spanked, you know, literally. And even the thing with the gloves, you know how many interviews I did about the gloves that Tyson pulled them out, and it's just bullshit, because when you wrap hands and you put the glove